internet. Welcome to Computer AF, episode number 18.
It is number 18.
Guess what? We're legal now. My name is Anne Ahola Ward. Joining
And I'm
me
John
is
Boydnott.
John Paul Boynott.
John Paul Boydnott. Lately, when I've been waiting, like if I order a chicken shawarma wrap or something, and they're like, "What is your name?"
Everyone does, yes.
Yeah. That's what they'll say, "What is your name?" And I'll say Wilson, which is my dad's middle name. And I've been starting to use that more and more often because I would say Paul, which is my dad's first name, which is my middle name. But I feel like I'm going to use Wilson. He was named after Woodrow Wilson, who was the president not too long before he was born. Anyway, yeah, regardless, fewer people have Wilson. It's far less easy to get confused. Yeah.
Oh, so your issue with being John is that other Johns exist, and
and even other Pauls as well. It happens, and I don't want to say, well, I'm actually John Paul. But I'm like, you know what? I'll just do Wilson.
You don't want to have to launch into an explanation for your acai bowl.
Exactly.
Or your shawarma. You want to be able to be like the name. I say Anne because it's my actual name, and I watch if they spell it correctly, and it's always like anytime they put the E on it, I'll go nice. And they'll nod back, and they'll be like, yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I praise them, and I said, you spelled it correctly. Good job. Or if they ask, I also compliment, because most people just write ANN. Like 85% ANN.
ANN. Like, yeah. Yeah, very lowest common denominator of them to do that. I mean, for me, Wilson, there's a Fish song that's called Wilson, and that's another reason. Anyway. If you're a Fish person.
What's that name for the order, sir? Wilson, like the Fish song.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the kids really, that resonates.
For a few of them. Actually, it's more like the other middle-aged people are now. Yeah. No kids.
I've accepted my musical preferences are that of an older person. I don't know who, like, I had to look up how to say SZA.
I actually never looked it up and don't really know how to say it. How do you say it?
SZA.
It's just SZA. It's not SZA. Or
now I'm questioning it. Now I'm like, did I get that right? Well, I would say I saw a movie with her this week, and that was how it was said around the theater by Youngs.
By the Youngs, yeah.
Because you and I are now in the olds. Now that I've reached my mid-40s, I'm looking up the name of the movie because, of course, I don't remember it. It was One of Them Days with SZA and Keke Palmer, and it was hilarious. It's a gal buddy comedy.
For real.
A really crazy day for two crazy fun ladies.
Oh.
And I just like to go see a movie when it's cold because you're leaving your house, you're doing an activity, and it gets you kind of out of your funk if you're in a funk, and, you put on your best sweatpants.
Yes. Put on those Crocs,
Yeah, you make a good show of it. And it was a full theater, and it was like a really below freezing night. I was actually kind of surprised, but it was a laugh out loud sort of comedy. I highly recommend.
Nice.
And SZA was beautiful. She is gorgeous. Keke Palmer, I think, is very going to be a household name if she isn't already as a comedian. She carried that film in the plot to a point that you wanted to see more of her, more both of them. Honestly,
what was the name of the film again?
I'm gonna have to look at it. I already forgot.
It's okay. Yeah, I saw one
of them days. One of them days, it came to me.
It is.
The phone is a tool, but it's also a crutch.
Okay. Yeah, I saw Den of Thieves, which has Ice Cube's son in it, who looks like him, just a little bigger. He's kind of a big boy now, and with Gerard Butler, who's really got a kind of hubba. Like it's got like a Russell Crowe kind of a thing happening.
Easy on the eyes, yeah.
Yeah, just sort of big and gruff, and don't mess with him. But also, he's got a heart of gold, and and this film they broke a safe deposit box in a bank in a most elaborate way, and it was really good stuff, and it's sort of an Ocean's 11Z kind of a deal. It was good. So that's the one that I saw with a friend, and actually. There's a movie Queer with Daniel Craig, the James Bond.
Mm.
That I went with a friend, and it was a small theater. It was an independent theater in San Francisco, and it's like this, basically a kind of a big room with but not that big of a room. It probably had maybe 50 people in it. It was just a small theater, but this was a big room with a not that big of a screen at the end of it playing the film. And I arrived. We got in there a little bit late and sat in the very front, and it was literally like looking up like this at the screen. And so
Oh,
we
that gives me
actually
a headache. I hate that.
I made it about an hour. We made it about an hour, and then we had to get out of there and said just punt, as they say in football. And good though, good film, and not going to give too much away, but there's queer stuff happening in it. It being called Queer.
Ooh,
So very
that's
sort
good.
of, it was 1950s Mexico. Daniel Craig is basically playing William S. Burroughs, who wrote a book about sort of an autobiographical book, and then became this movie eventually, and hooking up with guys, drinking too much, and doing other things he shouldn't be doing. But yeah, good film, worth a watch.
Nice. Yeah, and this weekend I plan to go see the new Sexy Robot Turns on Everyone
Ooh,
movie called Companion. It has some really good comic talent in it that I'm familiar with. I don't actually think it's a comedy, but I'm not sure.
hmm,
Um, Companion is like the new, like there's just been just such a long slog of these like robot turned evil sort of movies, and there was one we watched recently with Megan Fox in it. I love Megan Fox. I think she's has a lot more range to her than people give her credit because she's so beautiful, but
yeah.
it was awful.
Oh, was it
It
really?
was like her being basically like a sex robot and then turning, and it was like, all right, okay, by the numbers. The plot was just, she did a great job. It just was that the plot wasn't really there. So you kind of knew what was happening next. It was one of those where you're bored as it starts, but Companion looks like it's going to have some sort of comedic interludes,
Yeah.
um, and some spicy dialogue from the preview led me to believe it would be a fun time. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But
Nice.
again, it's my way of doing something that's not just sitting at my house in the winter.
It's important to get out of the house. It's important to feel like you have a little direction in life that goes beyond just a computer screen, and feel like there's a little bit of meaning in friends and family and dog walking and whatever,
Yes.
hiking, whatever it may be. But look, it's been a few weeks since we were on the air with our show here, but I know CES happened, and look, I didn't pay too much attention to it this year, and I even went to YouTube videos where it's like all the latest from CES, and I clicked on it, and then like while not even watching the video but listening to it in the background, I started thinking about something else and didn't pay enough attention to it, so I still don't know what happened. So um,
Um,
you tell
I
me.
mean, it's the thing is, it's always kind of to expect certain things, right? Robots have been a mainstay. Big
Hopefully not
beautiful,
evil robots.
exactly, that aren't evil yet, but will be. Definitely,
Was there a
big
new
beautiful,
Roomba
big
out
beautiful
this year?
screens.
Sorry.
Yes, there was one thing I remember was interesting to me. There was a like a robotic spoon that would
Oh,
like adjust the flavors to make you think you were having more salt so you could reduce your sodium intake, which I thought was kind of interesting.
oh, interesting.
I think it was really a good year for augmented reality.
Hmm.
I think there were a lot of like little glasses and things. Some bionic stuff, which is pretty sweet for people who are, you know, missing a limb.
Yeah.
Like actual helpful replacements. There were definitely some things there, and then obviously like the things you would expect.
Yeah.
Weird humanoid robots that could be used for everything from companionship to mowing your lawn. Nothing really stood out to me about that because you kind of expected at this point.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of AI. A
Yeah.
lot of AI. Everything had AI. AI is coming to your house. And I think a lot of wellness stuff too. a lot of
Ooh, I like wellness and longevity stuff.
I like the idea of using technology for wellness, not just, the electric salt spoon that's going to help you uh, make your food tastier without more salt. That
Mm,
is a good thing for people with high blood pressure. I don't have high blood pressure
yeah,
yet, knock on wood.
yeah,
Um,
me
but I
too.
think, I think that really the glasses stole the show. Like a lot of smart glasses, augmented reality glasses. Um, and
How much did you go ahead? Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think the next thing that is the vision, which has been said by a lot of tech moguls and otherwise, is just to get us off of staring at phones. I think the idea is that it's a heads up display experience coming in the future where we're going to, be able to, in my regular glasses, see, oh, a notification, bloop, bloop,
Mm, yeah.
and oh, I don't really know where I'm going. Put a map on there. Like that kind of experience, I think, is we're getting closer to having turn by turn navigation and other sort of bells and whistles that make those sort of things useful.
How much did you pay attention? And if it's okay if you didn't, but how much did you pay attention to the Apple? They're going to have their second version of their thing, but then Zuckerberg's Meta came out with their thing already, and it's a whole lot. Their what's it called? Their goggles or whatever. I forget. Their
Mm-hmm.
augmented reality, effort. I mean, how much did you pay attention to that? If you didn't, it's okay.
Um, I mean, I launched a product for a client in the
That's right.
Vision
Yeah.
Pro, and that was not a seamless experience because I think it's the cost and expense and all the issues that were pervasive with the Vision Pro. I think it was unfortunately not really suitable for someone with my use case, particularly where you do wear glasses
Yeah.
and you might have some neck issues, which I do. So a giant thing on my face, I can't really truly wear my glasses with. Um,
Yeah.
you can, but there's like add-ons and all sorts of configurations. I think that the idea was to retoggle and do a lighter weight sort of version of it.
Yeah.
I would say I paid a moderate amount of attention to that because I was curious if they were going to do a Rev B because, I didn't buy one because I've
Yeah.
always been of the belief you don't buy the first edition of a new category of electronics. You
Yeah.
let them get the initial glitches out and then you get the next rev.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think that the next rev, from everything I've read, which is several articles that I
Yeah.
scanned, is
Your
that
scanning is better than many people's deep dives.
yeah,
Okay.
well, as an internet person, you just sort of know what to glean, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a lighter weight version. I think that they want to get it right, and I think they're correct in believing people don't want something that's going to be so heavy it can bruise their face.
Yeah. 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 Because that was an issue for some people, right? When there with the original Apple Vision Pro, there was kind of a thing.
Yes. Yes, I know someone personally who had it and was able to get a new bezel that corrected that. But the fact that
Yeah.
it's so heavy that you could have black eyes, that's
You
not.
shouldn't you shouldn't have to go get a new bezel to correct. I mean, just talk about not ready for prime time. I mean, this just hopefully it works out. Hopefully there's something that's competitive and
I
useful
mean,
there.
I'm rooting for them because I know when they get it right, they will get it, so right that everyone's going to want it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just think it's going to look more like a pair of. It's probably going to look more like a pair of my glasses than it is an Oculus.
Yeah, I know that. I remember hearing from somebody that Meta was putting out one with Ray-Ban where it has a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of stuff and it's
Yes,
just a regular pair of sunglasses, like an effort with Ray-Ban. I don't know too much about that, but
I've
that's
heard good
certainly,
things. I've heard good things about it. I haven't tried it yet myself, which is odd. Usually, I'm like the first one to try it, go and figure out this. I might just buy a pair because I don't think they're too. I think they're at the. They're not like cheap, but they're.
yeah,
I think it's definitely. I think around the
200,
500.
300, something like that. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
too wild.
No, I should really look that up. Hey, we're just trying to keep you guys informed here to the best
Yeah.
of our ability. But I do think it was like 3 to 500.
Oh, 3 to 5. Yeah, I mean, that is a whole
Yeah,
lot more
no,
reasonably
no, you were
priced.
right. It's 299 and up.
299. Yeah, okay, yeah. I thought I saw that somewhere, you know. Hey, but, one thing that I wanted to
Link in
talk to
bio. No, we don't have a
link
link.
in
We
bio.
don't have a link. We don't have a link in bio.
Click here for further information. No, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about isn't even just one thing. It's sort of a series of things that are kind of going on in the arena of like, there's just different issues related to what's happening in, in Instagram. A lot of this revolves around kind of meta at this time, sort of pissing people off with a few little things like Democrats was not searchable on Instagram.
Hmm.
Some issues around the timeline for. Wait, what's the deal with the timeline in Facebook? A lot of people are saying that now they're seeing a certain political party more than they did before.
Right.
Yeah, what's
So you're absolutely right. A lot of people are upset at what they're seeing in their timeline. I would say that it's upsetting because, if you're a Democrat, you're probably upset right now, and that's
yeah,
fair. You get to be, right? Just as the Republicans were upset 4 years ago.
yeah,
You kind of take turns of who gets to be sad and mad. But in this case, I think that a lot of people, it came out, a lot of people felt they were being forced to follow
mm,
President Trump, and unfortunately, they just forgot that they had followed the White House or followed POTUS. And when the office switched, so did those accounts. So in a lot of instances,
yeah,
there was a simple explanation where it just sort of felt like you were being forced to see something when really you just had followed something that had changed. But you know how these things go. They take it's like wildfire. They spread. Sorry, LA. Too soon.
oh yeah. No, I mean,
Breaks my
look.
heart. But
There's
yeah.
even one happening right now. I know there's one going on right now. I think it's like near Magic Mountain. It's near which is a little bit more suburb of LA, but still it's all just LA area.
I
So it's
think that
yeah.
as stewards of technology, we can and should be doing better in the technology realm for fire prevention and detection, because essentially the best thing we can do in these instances is better detection so that there
Yeah.
can be earlier response.
Yeah.
Sometimes minutes
Yeah.
can make a huge difference between something being, a couple houses versus 20 houses. And now look at where we are. I'm not saying that that was the case here. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that fire prevention is something that I wish startups would really get focused on. Like, isn't this the goal of technology? Isn't this what it should be doing?
I feel
Um,
like, yeah, I agree with you. I feel like to some extent, there's, I don't want to, I'll say it this way. And there's too little of an opportunity. And I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, but there's too little of an opportunity to actually create something that makes a huge difference for the technology that we currently have. Although that might be debatable. One thing that I can say as somebody who has covered fires in Southern California, in Santa Barbara, which has
mhm.
been hit hard by fires over and over and over again, last forever. Um, when a blaze gets started, it just avalanches and super fast, and that happened with a lot of these fires, almost all these fires, if not all these fires. It just snowballs and gets bigger, bigger, bigger before anyone can truly mobilize. And that's just kind of the way it goes. There's probably some opportunity in there to make a difference. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but yeah, you're right. There should be more of an
Well,
effort.
right, like AI can maybe detect. I think people were already aware of the drought in the wind, right? But it
Yeah,
could detect, you have the data. What can we do with this data? What can all these glorious LLMs we're touting? What can it do? Like, I know there are people working on that.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe there's
but
something. There's a
I
lot
do
of.
feel
Go
it was
ahead.
a. I'm sorry. I just was gonna say I know it was a really weird start to the year. It
Yeah, it's
was.
like 2025. Take it easy already. You're only 10 days
I
old.
know.
It's
I
like,
know. I know. I when 2020 happened, at the end I bought a dumpster fire candle and I
mm,
lit it at New Year's thinking, okay, it's going to be a better year. And I feel like 2025 has been like, hold my beer.
yeah, definitely,
We're going to
definitely.
get real weird with it. And it has been. It has been for a lot of reasons. We're going through a weird vibe and climate online. I think a lot of people, to your earlier question, I think a lot of people are having trouble getting the information they want, curating their feeds effectively, and it does feel
Mm,
like there's maybe some forces at play there, and maybe there are. I'm not 100% sure about that. I just know that people have got to take control of their information diet. you
yeah,
you
that's
you
a good
can
point.
use keywords that you block, There are tools out there. There are timers. You can put a timer on these apps if they get upsetting to you. You can make a
Mm.
conscious decision to not get your news on social media apps. That's another thing. You actually can get your news just from the news sources, and maybe let your social be about, looking at where people go on vacation and spying.
And you don't even have to stick with the same apps that you've always stuck with. New ones are popping up all the time, like Blue Sky and well, Threads is newer. Even though there's 100 million people on Threads.
Speaking of timeline, Threads really, their timeline, they just did not get that right. They
No,
just did not.
it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. Yeah, a mix of different things, people you don't follow, people you don't know, subjects you weren't interested in. How did this get here? Okay, I'm just going to go somewhere else. That's kind of what
Threads
it's like for me.
kind of became, uh, oh hey, it kind of became the secondary posting spot for people from their Instagram.
Yeah,
So people I'm really close friends with that I follow on one platform, they're just rebroadcasting the same stuff on Threads now, and I'm like,
yeah.
ooh,
That's kind of what I'm
okay.
doing with Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm just like, hey, I get to put the thing on Twitter and then I put it on Blue Sky. I'm just sort of doing it as one thing right now until whatever mud wrestling match that is kind of works itself out to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
you know.
can't I can't believe that those would be the same audience though. That's the thing.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
would the person on Blue Sky that has consciously left Twitter be going back to Twitter? I don't know. I just sort of am both sidesing it right now.
Right. I'm both sidesing it right now too, and I think that there are a lot of people doing that for various reasons, especially people who are marketing oriented, right, working for companies, working for clients, looking at these things from more of a meta perspective, where it's like, what what can this do to help my client? What can this do to help them with their traction? Um, yeah, and it's not about so much the the atmosphere, let's say. The
I keep saying vibe lately. Like
word vibe.
I like to
This launched
put
into bric-a-brac.
so we John and I had a very long chat before this where we decided that we're just going to embrace the bric-a-brac and it's just going to happen, but we're not going
Yeah,
to ever stop our love of tech.
yeah.
But
That's
I
part
would
of our bric-a-brac.
say I think I just think calling them out separately, just maybe we're just not going to do that because we're just going to let it roll. And I would
We're gonna
say that
vibe.
like the vibe of what, yeah, we're just following the vibes, guys.
Yeah,
And I think that one of the vibes of one of the
vibe.
vibes of my like winter experience have been putting on YouTube channels for like background of like an aquarium or
Yeah,
exotic birds,
it's a vibe.
and I do enjoy the vibe of that because you feel like there's like that presence sort of, instead of just being a dark room,
Yeah,
here's like a nice warm natural thing. And that's something I actually learned to do in the wake of the glass fires in San Francisco. Like I was
yeah.
like, okay, I can't go outside for a while. What can I do? And I'm going to put on these nature channels and whatever. Like TV doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a companion in a mood way that lifts you, and you can read a book, you can talk to a friend, you can look at stupid little videos on
It's
different
a vibe.
things. It's a vibe.
It's a
Yeah,
vibe.
just do the vibes that you want to do, and I don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Speaking of vibes, I have lost track as an internet arbiter of vibes and trends. I've actually lost track of what the heck is happening with TikTok. So I was hoping you could tell me
Oh,
because I stopped paying attention because I don't really use TikTok, but I know it's your thing.
well, it's kind of. I have actually in my podcast that I do with Grit Daily, our lovely benefactors.
Shout out.
Shout out. In my podcast that I do with them, some of the shorts I've been tossing onto TikTok, and prior to this, in the 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or however long I've been on TikTok, I only had two videos on there. One of a friend's cat, and one of Falcor, my old dog, my old Chihuahua that I used to have. And so that was it. They were just sitting there together. My
It's
only
an
two
amazing
videos.
name, by the way. That's like a
It's not.
perfect name for a little dog.
Well, when he was a puppy, he just had those. He was white, and he just had those floppy ears. And I remembered that the community manager at Dig, actually back in the day, I forgot her name, but she had this huge floppy white dog, and it was named Falcor. And I'm like, God, I want to name my dog Falcor if it's appropriate, if I ever have a dog. And it just turned out to be appropriate because he has this high flying attitude. But regardless, TikTok. So I've started using it a little bit. What happened was, years ago, Trump said, "Hey, let's get rid of this. The Chinese are getting our information." And eventually, it was ruled that TikTok would have to shut down if there wasn't some sort of U.S. takeover. This was several months back. The deadline was very recently, several days ago, right after Biden left office and Trump came on board. And so he gave it a 75-day reprieve, I believe. And that gives it enough time for someone else to buy at least half of it. Trump's deal is,
Elon.
yeah, possibly Elon is a good candidate. Larry Ellison of Oracle fame could be a candidate. Also, Mr. Beast is a candidate.
Ugh, that
Yeah,
guy.
I know.
Why won't he go away?
Because I don't want to get too much into the minutia of that, but there's just too many people who like him for him to go away. And that one idea that I liked was Mark Cuban possibly being involved in a
Like
venture. I
cubes.
like, I like the cut of his jib. He actually said on Blue Sky, which is kind of his favorite platform right now, he said, "Let's build something that's sort of similar to Blue Sky for like a TikTok replacement. Anyone out there who'd like to do that, come talk to me. I'll fund you, that kind of thing." One thing that I should say though is that Instagram is changing the way it's going to look to match more closely that of TikTok. Blue Sky debuted a video channel that sort of makes it more similar to TikTok. I think there's a few others that kind of changed their look a little bit to be a little bit more
You're
TikTok.
right.
So we'll see. Right now, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. The next 2, 3, 4 months are going to be really interesting on the whole TikTok front. But it's up right now. It's working.
Very well done. Very succinct. I would also say I noticed the grid changed on us. It's all elongated now.
Oh yeah, here Yes, that's the thing.
The elongation. I'm just like, okay, well, for everyone that works with brands like I do, and you have things with text on them, they all look weird. So yeah. We're not really sure what to do quite yet because they could roll it back because sometimes they just do. Why tell the people who push content to your platform? Why tell us what's going on? Yeah.
I'm trying to look at my thing, but it's too Oh yeah, they made it. I see what they did. Yeah, they made it elongated. It's a good way to do it. Not bad.
It was jarring to me at first, but then I was like, oh well, lucky you, internet, you get more of us.
Yeah, more of us. You get to see more of my bare chest. And then
yeah, and in our Zazzle and our
ooh, I love that.
Our imitation Hermes scarves. I don't even know if this is supposed to be Hermes. I just am guessing based on the pattern, but it was not.
Is Zazzle still a company? Wasn't that the T-shirt company? Like you would have to design, and it's still going?
I think I personally kept them in business there for a minute because it was so easy to print stuff. Like I was doing a family visit and I printed up a bunch of trucker hats for the kids that said a hola on them.
Oh, that's awesome. Trucker hats.
For like all these occasions, I would like, ooh, let's do a T-shirt. The first T-shirts for my book were done on Zazzle.
Awesome.
I think they're still around. I think there's still a lot of money to be made in Whimsy. I think Etsy's probably eating a little bit of their lunch because Etsy's makes you feel a little more artsy.
Never underestimate the power of Whimsy and bric-a-brac.
Whimsy is a significant portion of my purchases are driven by Whimsy.
I see that your background is very Valentine's oriented. And SEO is a battlefield is in the background too. Is there anything SEO related that is of interesting news right now? If not, I understand, but I always like to ask you that.
I appreciate that the call out to my industry. I would say that it's been a little more exciting to be an SEO the last 6 months than it has in the last 2 years.
You're like clickety click. What's going on in the SEO?
Yeah. Oh. Let me look up some trends. Busted. No. I was just trying to I was trying to jog my memory in some of my recent industry posts. I think honestly, without clicking and cheating, I would say, which again, thank you for busting me.
Sorry.
Is the AI? No. Let's keep each other honest, no matter how painful it gets.
I hear your Hermes is imitation.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
What?
it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have like a fake brand, and I'm pretty confident it was made legally. So I would say that the everything right now is me figuring out AI overviews and me figuring out how to capture search traffic from these new sort of forces. And I'm seeing across the board, Search GPT bringing traffic. Gemini is now actually being included in Google Workspace, so you're not paying separately. So the integrations there are getting pretty intense, which means that I then have to figure out how that results in more search. How do I optimize for Gemini? How do I optimize for AI overviews? They're
Yeah.
not that different. And I would say people get excited about it because it's a new thing, but it's really not that new.
Yeah.
It's kind of like optimizing for Google Answers. Um, and I think it's keeping us all on our toes. I would be honest and say it's too big to even give a better update than that right now because it's
Yeah.
changing so rapidly. But I
I hope.
like I like that though. I like that there's new platforms all the time. I
Yeah.
like that I really personally I think I use Perplexity the most because Perplexity is that real-time search.
Yep.
And I like that they're sort of the underdog in this and they give us real time. I mean, I love Claude and it's a fun sort
I
of
like Claude
ooh
too.
lux, but it's not really real time and I want real
Mhm.
time because
Yeah.
that's what people are looking
Claude's
for.
latest is like April 2024. They still got a little ways to go. I wonder when they'll all get to the point where they are real time. But
Right. Right. And I think that there's quite a bit going on in terms of just reshuffling of
yeah,
what gets shown to you. And it's different in each browser, it's different in each engine.
those AI
Um,
overviews, man. I know that those AI overviews are decreasing the amount of search and click throughs that so many sites are getting these days. I just know, yeah, like you said, it's just a big reshuffling of the board of the way
that
um,
is
all of it's going.
absolutely, to your point, not to cut you off, but I do think that zero click content is going to be the big trend of the year. People
Yeah,
don't want to click anymore. Think about how much more you're seeing in the search engine. Zero click content is the way that we're headed, where people don't want to go and click on five things. They just want the thing right there, and it makes sense, right? So you're going to see, like on social, you're going to see more threaded posts
yeah,
versus sending people out to links. I
yeah.
do think Instagram is going to need to respond to that trend because link in bio gets old.
It really does. Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah,
like think of how many decades we've been clicking on links that lead us out to somewhere that we're not necessarily
right.
interested in going to. Right. We just want it here and now.
Zero click, baby. Zero click.
Well, I want to bric-a-brac with you all day, but I know that you have an appointment that's coming up for you,
The
and
internet has got to go look at cat videos or whatever you guys are doing after this, which I can
mhm.
imagine is
Or
going to be
men with
enriching.
no shirt on, or something like that, possibly. Um, but um, it's wonderful to see you and talk to you and hang out with you
Yes.
on our lovely show together.
Yes. Thank you so much. Welcome back to us and to all of you to our exciting content for 2025. And I would like to close with one Instagram account that I am really enjoying following right now,
Yeah.
which is Hot Victorians.
Okay.
It is just, and I've sent you some of these. It's just hot Victorian era dudes
Oh, really?
captured in
You sent it to me.
Victorian times in black and white photos. Nothing else. No one's selling anything. It's just pure, just like hot Victorian dudes in their weird, Victorian time swimsuits and whatever weird
Oh,
things
these
they're
hot
doing
Victorians, there they are. Yeah,
with
these
some,
guys, these guys. I mean, like, look at him right there. Good
like,
lord,
hello. There were some
what's
total hotties back then.
yeah?
So,
This is oh,
any accounts?
this
What?
rugged gentleman
Yeah.
right here.
Oh,
God,
hubba hubba. I mean, wow.
oh, look at this man of the sands in
The
Egypt.
fashion is also a part of it. Like, I love the outfits. Um,
My, he's a
yeah.
swashbuckler, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, the hot Victorians will keep you entertained for a while. So,
Anyway, yeah.
John, any accounts you want to highlight? I just kind
Oh,
of threw that at
geez,
you.
that's a good question. There are, I'm not going to be able to come up with it.
We'll save
Uh,
it for next time. We'll save it for
just,
next time. I just threw that in there as a bonus because I obviously don't know how to quit you.
I mean, yes.
Okay. Bye, internet.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for having us.
See
We're
y'all.
legal now.